Hi, Assalamu alaikum. Welcome. Suleiman Raheem here. Brothers and sisters, there's so much to talk about and so little time to talk about it in. Anyone that is awake can see we're in the end days, the end months, the end year. Things that happen very quickly. We see the house on fire, and when the fire engines come, they don't bring water, they bring gas, gasoline. If you thought things politically in America has gone nuclear, what do you think is going to happen with this Supreme Court situation? We're in the time of locusts, the first locust plague, which was a moderate plague compared to the second one. The first locust plague was the last 5 months. We talked about that. That was the spark I've been talking about for quite some time, over several years. I said this year there would be a spark, similar to Rosa Parks with United, so-called civil rights movement in the 60s. And it's similar to that, and there was a spark happened in May. And that would also be the dawn of the first locust plague. So it's May, June, July, August, September, 5 months, the 5th month. If we do basic calculations, we should not go astray. But no one's paying attention to the scriptures. You'll see anyone paying attention to the scriptures. They talk all around the scriptures, and to the extent they talk about the scriptures, it's distortions and contortions, outright lies, fabrications. When the scriptures are so clear right now, anyone that's truthful, objective, will find all the answers right there in Exodus, in the Abrahamic covenant. Who can deny that the Abrahamic covenant does not apply to us? They can't find any historical footprint that applies to the Abrahamic covenant. We hear people talking about it, but we can't find the evidence. They've been digging around in deserts for 1,000 years and have found not one bit of evidence there was ever Exodus. Anyway, if you examine that, it makes no sense anyway. Because Egypt was not a foreign land to wherever the so-called Jews said they was living at. So they was living in Palestine or Jerusalem or wherever in that area. Egypt was just like going from New York to New Jersey. It wasn't a foreign land. In addition to Abraham spent time there. He lived there for a while. See? And then there's no river to cross. See, it has nothing to do with them. And there's no evidence anyone was ever enslaved in Egypt, especially 400 years. But all the evidence applies to us. 1619 to 2019 is 400 years. 400 years. To underscore it, said it would be a plague following 2020. Plague came in right on time, exactly on time. Is that a coincidence? What kind of plague would it be? It would be a plague that would kill the firstborn. Who is it killing? The elderly. Aren't they the firstborn? Now to be a time when America's in judgment. Who could deny that America's not in a state of a judgment right now? So you have that 400 years. Then you got the end, also the end of the son of perdition's rule. His rule was 42 years. So that's Farrakhan. He started in 1977. That's what he says. This is the 42 years into 2019 again. So therefore, this is it. He's true. This is last year. He would not survive this year as the nation, as the so-called Nation of Islam leader. That's it. It's the end of his reign. There's other numbers we can go in. See, it brings you right up to right now. You do the calculation in chapter 11, in the angel, it brings you right up to right now. So, what I want to talk about, well, I want to go into the book of Daniel. I don't particularly like going into the book of Daniel because the book of Daniel is very, very subtle. And Job's subtle too. But you can get into it. Well, you can do the same thing with Daniel also. Because there's a lot of subtleties in Angel I can't talk to you about because they're too subtle. But you can get to the substance of the book before you get to that level. Because of those, if you've been paying attention, knows it gets deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper, right? I point out things that you wouldn't see until you actually start learning more and more about the angel. And same thing as Daniel. It starts out, and you get deeper and deeper and deeper, and the subtleties become amazing, astonishing. And I wouldn't say astonishing, but become very, very amazing. I'll leave it like that. Anyway, we're going to talk about a little bit in basic. Not going to a lot of really deep stuff, but we're going to go into it. Just give you some idea what's going on. But I can't say enough about where we are right now. And most people are going to be caught up in the snare. There's two snares. There's a snare of that war in the Middle East that's about to take place. And there's a snare for the original people here in America. It says those who dwell upon the earth, a snare will come as a snare. A snare is something you don't expect. See, you didn't know it was there. And I've been warning you about it. So a lot of you are going to get caught in the snare because they're about to flip the switch on it. See? And you're not aware of it, and a lot of you are going to get caught in it. Let's use a couple of analogies. These days are like the difference between a blind person, a person that can see, and a person that has foresight. See, if there's a fire, right? You're in a forest fire. If you're blind, you're in trouble because you have to, only way you can get out, you have to feel your way around. You have to feel the heat. You're going to get some burns. You're trying to go where you feel less burns. That's the only way. You got to go by feelings. And you can go by hearing, snapple and crap, but that's not going to really may give some information. If you hear fire crackling, that might be helpful. But you're going to get some burns. And you probably won't get burned up. You might make it out. But if you can see, then you have greater possibilities because you can navigate. You can see where the flames are, where they're not, and try to navigate your way out. And you have a good chance of getting out if you act quick enough. But if you got foresight, you won't be there at all. You won't even be when the fire comes. You know the fire's coming. You ain't going to be there. And that's the difference between what's going on now. See? Because the elect, they have foresight. So they're going to be delivered. That's why it says Michael, right, stood up, fraud. And all those in the book, right, they had foresight to get in the book. So it was delivered. There was foresight to listen to the Lamb. You see, the one that broke the seals, they paid attention to the scripture. That's why it says, watch and pray. Watch what? What, the weather? Study the scriptures. That's your guide. Somebody give you a map and say, here's how you get to Florida, or get a text, give you the map, and then you don't follow it. They tell me, I'm lost. You lost? Really? Didn't they give you a damn map, fool? They give you a map, and they go, oh, don't pay attention to that map. You see? They spent 16,000 years ago, spent all that time, resource, and everything to give you a clear map. And now you let some fool come and tell you, don't pay attention to that map. Because if you follow Exodus, you can't go wrong. You can't make any wrong turns. You can't go wrong. It's like GPS will take you right there. But they tell you, no, it's corrupt. Who's telling you it's corrupt? Who is telling you it's corrupt? Did Elijah Muhammad tell you it's corrupt? He said the scriptures were problematic, called a poison book, not because they were bad, because the way they was used against us, they distort that. See, they take it out of context. Because he said, study it. That's the one last thing he said when he departed. I was right there. Study the scriptures. Why he told you study something that's corrupt or poison? He said it was poison because of what he uses against us. But he taught from the Bible. The Bible is what gives him credibility. So the Bible is corrupt, and why should we pay attention to him? Because that's how you know about Elijah, from the Bible. See? So you tell, oh, it's corrupt. No, it's not corrupt. See? There's a lot of translations out there, and they're problematic because you got a translation for every taste. But if you get the transliteral, you should be okay. And the best one I have, the one I use, is the one that Jehovah's Witnesses have. You can go on their website and download it. It's free. But they're trying to, see, because what's happening is that those have foresight, they're going to be out here. Those ones who live it. The ones that just had sight, they wake up too late. See? Because if you got sight, it's no good if you sleep, is it? Sight is no good if you sleep. You can't see with your eyes. That's why it says, and then they're awake. Now they can see. But that means they didn't have any foresight, right? Would have been asleep to begin with. So they got to go through the tribulation. See? They got to go through the fire. See? And the blind ones, those was ones that was lost altogether. It says, some everlasting life, some everlasting shame and department. So the ones that's blind, they get burned up. See? I mean, you can't buy any better analogy than that. I tell you stuff very simple ones to explain, point out to you. So, we're at a time of unprecedented trouble. I mean, it's getting, well, we are in a time right now, but we haven't got to the boiling point of it yet. Boiling point, 212 Fahrenheit, 212 degrees Fahrenheit. That's the boiling point. The world's at war right now. What do you think, all these sanctions and biological warfare? They're trying to pin biological warfare on China now. That's Trump, the case Trump trying to make, Mr. Trump trying to make now, right? They had this woman run around saying they did it intentionally. She's one of the top scientists on that project. If they could make that case, they have to go to war. Because if they did this purposely, that's a biological attack. That's on the same level as a nuclear attack. It's like America hit with 2 atomic bombs, they can't figure out who did it. See? Once they find who did it, they got to retaliate. They have no choice. So if they can say, and he's trying to make that case, and we can get to Daniel, you can understand a little better, because that's what we're going to talk about in a few minutes. Because they're going to be at war. See? They're at war now, but it has reached the boiling point. To reach the boiling point, right? Temperature, boiling, when they say Fahrenheit or degrees, that's temperature, how fast things are moving, right? It's a measure of how fast they're moving, but it's also indication, a pressure, because when they move too fast, they're moving them the greater frequency of collisions. That means the greater the pressure. The more they're moving, if you're colliding, the more you move, the greater, the more intense, right? And the more frequent the collision is going to be. See? So that means the pressure increases as the temperature goes up. As the temperature goes up, pressure increases. But Yaku's grafted creation, right? They have a pressure threshold. All the nations have a pressure threshold except us, because we were created, self-created, in the most tense and pressure that the universe can produce. So there's no pressure in the universe that can destroy us, because we can't. That's how we self-create ourselves under intense pressure. Like it says, the heavens and earth were one. That's what the Quran says. KV says, well, there was Big Bang, everything was in the size of an atom. Either way, very small, and we're at the center of it. And under that intense pressure, that's how we self-create ourselves. And so therefore, there's no pressure in the universe that can destroy us, because the pressure, the greatest, we create under the most intense pressure the universe can produce. If you understand that. So pressure just makes us stronger and stronger and stronger. But KV was produced under the least amount of pressure, or in a state of tension. That's why I say it was created in haste. That's a hint. Because the universe is fully compressed. That's the most intense pressure there is. That's why Bliss said I was created under intense fire. Because under intense pressure, that pressure of the fire is intense. Because everything started out as fire. Hydrogen is fire. Everything comes from protons. Protons are the base of everything. And that's what hydrogen is. Hydrogen is protons. So everything starts as fire. But as the universe expands, it gets to the maximum expansion, right? That means it's a state of tension. And that's where Yaku's crafted devils were brought into existence. It's a 6,000-year transition between a contraction and expansion, or expansion and contraction. It's a 6,000-year period where all the energy, understand that what used to be here as the atmosphere of the earth is out there in the heavens now. So therefore, we're suffering that 6,000-year period. We're suffering a state of energy deprivation. We don't have enough energy to maintain our civilization or even to maintain ourselves. All the energy we do have, we use it just to try to continue existing. See? So Dr. Yakub stepped in and says, okay, well, hey, it's not enough energy to manage a Lamborghini anymore. I don't have enough energy for that. But if I make me a Volkswagen Beetle, I got enough energy for that. I can run around all day long. Don't need much energy. And that's Yakub's Raptor's creation. That's the basis of them. But that Lamborghini is not built. I mean, that Volkswagen Beetle ain't built like that Lamborghini is. See, it's also in the stripped down version at that. See, no, no radio, no power windows, no power steering. It's just an engine and steering wheel, pretty much. See, but hey, you can get around. Maybe it's even a bicycle. Might even be a Volkswagen Beetle. Get a bicycle. They can get around. Like Lamborghini stuck in the garage, don't have no money. So it means it's beautiful, but it can't do anything. That's the difference. See, but once the pressure starts again, after 6,000-year transition period is over, then that Volkswagen Beetle or bicycle cannot handle that pressure. If it collides with that Lamborghini, it's going to be destroyed. And that's the deal. That's what's happening. See, so they have a pressure threshold. They came with expiration date. Adam only had 6,000 years. It says it right in the Bible. He only had 6,000 years. Read chapter 20. Is it coincidence? They talk about the age-old serpent. When they say age-old, they tell you what they mean by age-old. They can't read it. 6,000, 1,000 is mentioned 6 times there exactly. When the number 1,000 is mentioned there 6 times for 6,000 years. Now their time is up. See, the time is up now. And the pressure is just too great. They cannot withstand. There's nothing you can do to save them. You can pray for them, whatever. There's nothing you can do to save them. They had 6,000 years. Oh, we're even high with evil. You didn't exist. We gave you 6,000 years of life, and we gave you control. We gave no other nation. We gave you control of everyone, everything. Adam, we gave you everything. We made you a ruler in the earth, and you had nothing. You was nothing, and we brought you into existence. Gave you that. Now you're gonna complain and say we're evil? We gave you everything, but now your time is up. You're mortal. We are immortal. We're the gods. You are mortal. We are immortal. And more about that another time. I have talked about that before. So that's where we are. And now the energy is returning. It returns approximately every 50 years, as a wave. It's momentous in the heavens and earth, but it will come to you but of a sudden. Every 50 years. Now we're in the next 50-year period. The last one was in the 60s. The one before that was, during the time of Noble Ali and Noble Drew Ali and Marcus Garvey and Farad and so forth. The one before that was so-called Civil War. Every time we got stronger, right? More energetic. In addition to that, right, we became more diverse because there's two of us that's considered black. They're the demons and the saints, the chaff and the wheat. And every time an energy wave comes, the division becomes more stark. As the wheat, they left the plantation fast as they could. They moved out to the cities, to the north or wherever. And the demons, they want to stay with masters, sharecroppers, because they're masters' children. The next stage, when Marcus Garvey and those guys, people came along, right? See, the first was the physical, broke the physical change. Next was the mental change. Then you had two different, the diversity again, right? Eurocentric thinking as opposed to Afrocentric thinking. Some say, we should be more like KV, Master, and some say we need to, get the hell out of here. We need to get back and think like Africans, whatever that was or is or whatever. And then 50 years later, right? So you got social chains. Then you got those who want to integrate and those who want to separate. Elijah Muhammad and Martin Luther King. And now we're here, and now it's going to be a total, right? Those are going to leave and those are going to stay. The saints are going to leave and demons are going to stay. Read it, demon-possessed man in the book of Mark. I'm not going to go into all that detail. And that's what's going to happen. That's how this is going to end. Now, Farrakhan doesn't know how it's going to end. I know how he wants to end because he's a demon. He wants to stay here with his dad. He says so. Read the demon-possessed man, Legion, Louis Eugene Grounds. He's of the NOI backwards. Right? He told Jesus, no, I don't please don't make me lead a country. He wanted to stay. But once the man was relieved of his demons, that's the NOI, right? Once they was removed and they had a new leader, right? He wanted to leave. See? So that's the deal. Because the demons, they want to stay here with dad. They're squine daddies. No, we don't want to leave here. And we don't want to be exposed. Stop exposing us. They said, please don't torment us. Stop exposing us, because they had a free ride for 42 years. And now he's been exposed. See? Pulling up his skirt and show how the foulness and the stench. The tubes coming out of his ass. Been disemboweled. That's a lot of punishment on those false claims of divinity, lies and hypocrites. See? A visible sign for all to see, a visible flame. He's through. Son of addition, follows the devil, makes him a demon, the chief demon. Plus, brothers and sisters, we're going to go into the presentation in a minute. But be unaware. There was two resurrections. Two resurrections, brothers and sisters. Two. See? You have to understand that. There was and there was two resurrectors. Who were the two resurrectors? Elijah and Jesus, the only ones in the Bible ever raised anyone from the dead. Two resurrections, two resurrectors. Two resurrectors, two resurrections. Read Ezekiel. There was a pre-4-wind resurrection and a post-4-wind resurrection. The pre-one had no spirit, the post-one had spirit. Now, unless you could tell me that the 4 winds have already blown, then that resurrection hasn't taken place yet. So the resurrection that you see is the pre-resurrection, the one of Elijah Muhammad. Because Elijah, raised the widow's son, the tribe of Levites. Those are the ones he raised. That's why you see in the angel, you see that Nation of Islam is separate, right, from the gold. The gold is the elect. That's the seed of Abraham, right? As we get closer, I reveal this stuff more and more and more to you because it's right in front of your face. But I can't. I mean, it's like if you notice, I bring more and more detail. If I try to tell you at once, we'd be here for hours and years, maybe. So the reason it's black because it's from the tribe of Levites, which was grafted in. So they went through the same hell we went through. So they have an incidental right to the Abrahamic covenant, but they're not the seed of Abraham. But they went through the same. So they was grafted in. They went through the same process we went through, same hell we went through, and they're original, but they're from a different tribe. They were grafted in, and the Bible tells you that Elijah wasn't an Israelite; he was a Levite. And that's why Aaron is called his brother, because Aaron also was a Levite according to their mother, because they only mentioned Moses' mother in the Bible as far as I know, and they only mentioned his mother, right, in the Quran, because they both had Levite mothers. But Farrakhan had a devil father. Now he tried to backtrack out of that, right? So I'm not going into all that detail, but the devil father makes him a demon. But he got a Levite mother. That's why he called him his brother, because they had the same mother scripturally, but because both of their mothers were Levites. See, Mo said she wasn't born in the United States anyway. See, so anyway, that's another story. So you got the two resurrections. The first one is the one, right? That's the demon-possessed man. He's the Nation of Islam, right? But he was already alive when Jesus came on the scene. The problem was, right? He had been raised by John, right? But the problem was, John is Elijah. The problem was, is he was possessed by demons now. He already, the devils removed from him, because he said he wasn't in control. He broke his chains, but he was still, now he was possessed by demons. He allowed himself to be fooled by Farrakhan, the chief demon. And that's the story of him. See? But he was living amongst the tombs. What was Elijah? Lazarus was dead in the tombs. See, this was living. He was living amongst the tombs, but Lazarus was dead in the tombs, and that's one of the several miracles that Jesus or Joshua performed. One of the first miracles was turning water into wine. What does that mean? Because you had the scriptures. Water is life. Water will give you life, and the scriptures will give you life. But they didn't give you any spirit. So he had to come and break the seals, and once you break the seals, you see the scripture a whole different way. It gives you spirit. Now you got some power. Before you just got life out of it. If you studied them, it would give you life, but it didn't give you spirit. See, that same thing. Remember the first resurrection, they had life, but they didn't have no spirit. They got the spirit from the angel because the Lamb broke the seal. And they listened. Remember the 144,000? They was the only ones. And the Nation of Islam was 144,000. So they was the only ones that could learn the new song. So it's two resurrections. And the Lazarus resurrection is about to take place. That was his other miracle, right? His other miracle was raising Lazarus from the dead. They're about to rise. They won't rise until the temperature reaches 212 degrees Fahrenheit, because the same temperature that reached is the boiling point for Yaku's grafted devils, right, is the resurrection heat that we need. Is to remember that heat represents pressure also. So that it's too much pressure for them. That pressure will crush them, right? But it will push us together. Because pressure, right? Pressure either crushes you or transforms you. Remember it says, well, you still transform either way, right? But remember it said we'll be transformed in the twinkling of an eye, quickly. But also their destruction will come quickly. Both of them happen simultaneously. But not only our resurrection, our coming together, but also the coming together of all the other nations. It says the Orient, remember, the world right now is all scattered and spread up and everything because of Kavi. Because of Yaku's creation. They went and just stripped the whole world apart. They went to Orient and broke up everything. Broke up China. Now you got China, Taiwan, you got China and and Hong Kong, all kinds of stuff. Broke it up. They went to Africa. They broke Africa in all these different countries. They went to the Middle East and broke everything up, all those pieces. Same thing with India. So you didn't have like Pakistan and India before. They broke all this stuff up, you see. And so, but that's what tension does. It pulls things apart. Fire pulls things apart. So what happens is that now the pressure pushes things back together. So now the pressure that we're experiencing now, you should be starting to feel some of it, because I feel more energized, I feel more energetic. Because here now it says momentous in the heavens and earth, but come to you above a sudden. That means it has to be, it's an energy wave. The earth, the universe is contracting again. Here's a universe, an energy wave called Jubilees approximately every 50 years, is absorbed by the earth. Earth converts that energy into form we can use. And so you should start experiencing now, because now that's why everybody's been more energized. That's like, remember in the 60s, everything, some people got all energized. Everybody was going, hey, boys, yeah, man. So all of a sudden, everybody's getting more energized. Same thing, Civil War, bam, came all of a sudden. Same thing, all of a sudden, back in Noah D and Marcus Garvey, everybody pops up all the same time. And now we have all this stuff going on right now. And all this stuff that you see right now came all of a sudden. 2020 came with a bang, right? And it's getting hotter and hotter every second. The volumes just keep carrying up. How much can your ears take? So that's what's happening. See? That's where we are. So the pressure increasing to the boiling point, which means the Europeans go to war with each other. See? Because temperature's so hot. Now they really collided. But the war will destroy them. But it bring all other nations together. See? China's going to go, because remember, this, everything torn apart like this, that's, remember, divide and conquer, that's the basis of their rule. So they have to maintain that to maintain rule. So they tell everybody, China, you better not mess with Taiwan, right? See? India better not mess with Pakistan. See? Africa, y'all best, try to unite over there. Remember, that's what Gaddafi was trying to do, unite Africa. Where's he now? That's what he's trying to do. Where's he at now? See? Go back to the 60s. You pay attention back in the 50s, 60s, around the area when that started happening? Did you pay attention? China became independent of the European countries. Africans got rid of colonists, right? They threw all them out of India and all of them. They threw the British and everything out. Everybody got free of the European countries, except us. Except us. And now we're getting ready to break free. Remember, all that happened at the same time. And so you see the same thing right now, but it's a war, because everybody's getting aggravated. And now they're saying it's a worldwide thing, this plague and everything, right? They're trying to blame it on China. But you're going to see that that's why America's and Britain, this Gog and Magog, is going to be at war, because they're going to try to maintain their control, their empire, right? And so they're going to be fighting with each other, and then they're going to be also trying to keep, when China takes Taiwan, they're going to try to stop that. That's what's going to happen. China's going to go in. They already threatened to do it. They've been threatening to do it all the time. India's already been threatening to go take Pakistan. Haven't you paying attention? Look at the conflicts in Africa. Look at the Middle East. You get ISIS trying to unite all the Arab countries back together. Those divisions, yes, they didn't exist before the Europeans went in there. So this is what you're getting ready to see. And then you're going to see them coming together and the Europeans trying to keep them apart. World War III, Armageddon. But that's not the real Armageddon. The real Armageddon is going to take place between us and Africa. That's another story. Something I really haven't talked to you about, but just transcendentally. So we'll get into that sometime. That's a little ways off. Right now, main enemy are the demons. But they plan to kill us. And that's the whole thing why God has to act. And I talked about that. I'm not talking about tonight. right? There's so much other things to talk about. God, I want to just bring you up to speed about where we are right now. A time, you understand that when it says a time of unprecedented trouble, when it's the most unprecedented time in any human life. What's the most unprecedented time in any human's life? Death. Because you only die once. That's unprecedented. We're trying to tell you. What was it that gets back to Abraham? Right? Sacrificing his son. And just before the knife penetrated his heart, before I stopped it. That's what it means. Time unprecedented trouble. Almost, no, that means at a time that we would put to death. That's the death stroke. Because they accomplished that at the end of the original man. Because that's their point, to get rid of us. We're the original man. We're the source of the universe. We're it. We are the God. We are Allah. And that's the point. We're just before they destroyed us, right? That's what it means. That's at the point. So get that on your, get that, don't get it twisted. That's what they're planning. And one of the reasons why they show Abraham the one doing it, that gets a little deep here, but we got a problem with the Shia, the Sunni. Remember, the Sunni represents Ishmael. We are Isaac, we're brothers. Or they got, are they white? They're not really white. Read it. It says that Ishmael went and married Egyptian. Now you think, right, you're talking about, right, Egyptians, they were black. They tell you the white now, right? No, they're talking about he married a Caucasian because Egypt represents America, the Caucasian world in the scripture. So that's how they got light. All of them ain't light. They got light. See? But they sold us out. We destroyed Joseph and his brothers. We are Joseph. We're the ones that were enslaved in Egypt. Remember, Joseph was the one that enslaved in Egypt for 400 years. His brothers sold him out because they saw that he was going to be the ruler. Everybody was going to bow to him. So they sold him out. They sold him into slavery. Why do you think I'm so hard on these Sunnis? Because our brothers sold us out. They sold us out. We're going to see that in Daniel. They sold us out. They meant to kill us. Remember, they was going to kill us. But then one of them said, no, wait a minute, we shouldn't kill him. We just put him in a hole. Maybe a wolf or something and get him. We shouldn't do it ourselves. Right? They're going to let the devils do it. You better read that carefully, bro. It says, this is stuff that's going right past you. Why they're so hard on them? Because they try to sell us out. Because they think they should be the inheritors. They read the scriptures. They know about the story of Abraham's seed. They saw that we was going to be the inheritors. And we're the oldest brother. They said, well, if they get rid of us, they'll get it. Remember the story of Jacob, Esau? Same thing. One tricked his brother out of it, and his brother went for it. See, that's another story altogether. But the point is that they sold us out. How you think? You got to read these stories. If you understand the story I've been telling about Adam and Eve, right? The tree of good, evil. We're the tree of good. The Christians, the demons, they're the tree of evil. There's several trees. There's no tree that produces two fruits. So they have actually several trees. The tree of life, tree of good, knowledge of good, knowledge and so forth. And the tree of life. We are the tree of life. See? The Levites are the tree of good. It's the Nation of Islam under Elijah Muhammad. Right? And the Christians are the tree of evil, knowledge of evil. See, they run an evil mind. See, you know, I was running a good mind, original mind, until Farrakhan came and screwed that up. See, and he had tree of, and he says, don't let them eat the tree of because they went after the Nation of Islam, and they went after the demons. They went after both alike. They didn't get to the, you know, and the thing is that it says put a flame around the tree of life so they don't get to that. Because they get to that, they live forever. We was a tree of life. We live in Africa. How did they get there? Right? We had the Suez surrounded. They had North Africa, they had control all of that. And the only way the Europeans could get in, they had to get past the Sunnis. They could not have got to us unless they got through the Sunnis. Sunnis was still in power at that time. They had to get through the Sunnis to get to us. Don't you understand that? Yeah, and a lot of us were Sunnis. They had to get through them to get to us. And most of them was those ones that guided them. It was the Sunnis that was guiding them into Africa to get at us. They didn't know anything about Africa. They had no knowledge of Africa. It was a Sunni. See, they don't want to tell you that. They try to hide that. That's why I said the dragon. I keep telling the dragon represents a Sunni. And said the dragon what? He was wrathful at the woman. Which woman? The one that was believing in God and trying to live a righteous life. That's the one they went after. That's you. Some of the Nation of Islam, they will come after you. See, that's what you're going to go through. It's in the Injil. I show you between the waters represent Sunni. The waters also represent the tribulation. That's part of the tribulation. That means they're going to come after you hard. When you go to the tribulation, they're going to be one of your primary enemies. In here, in America. You got a lot of them in here in America. Because you can go to the flames here. It's going to be tough. I'm not going to all the details right now. See? But they betrayed us because they wanted the reward. They wanted to inherit the promise. See? Like they said, they're the only ones. They Sunni, we're Islam, so we're it. See? Anyway, that's another story. Okay, bro, so let's get into the presentation. I got a couple of things I want you to look at first, and a couple of videos, short videos, and then we get into the presentation. I want to touch on Daniel. I'm gonna have something to say on the back end, okay, and then we just close out. Okay, so let's see what we can do here. Hope this is working okay.
This is true news. I'm Rick Wiles. President Donald Trump plans to issue an executive order allowing him to impose U.S. sanctions on anyone who violates a conventional arms embargo against Iran, according to 4 anonymous sources familiar with the matter. The unnamed sources told Reuters the executive order was expected to be issued in the coming days and would allow the president to punish violators with secondary sanctions, depriving them of access to the U.S. markets. The White House did not immediately respond to a request for comment. The United Nations arms embargo on Iran will expire 2 weeks before the U.S. presidential election under the 2015 nuclear deal that Iran struck with 6 major powers: Britain, China, France, Germany, Russia, and the United States. The UN conventional arms embargo is set to expire on October 18. News that the Trump administration is ramping up plans to punish nations that trade with Iran comes at the same time. Israeli newspapers are speculating whether President Trump is wanting to start a war with Iran before the November 3rd election. For example, the Jerusalem Post asked the question, is Trump looking for a pre-election fight with Iran? The Jerusalem Post article says, quote, the U.S. will attempt to start playing a fascinating high-stakes game this weekend, only 6 weeks from Election Day. Starting on Saturday, the U.S. appears to not only be saying it will economically penalize countries worldwide who have any arms dealings with Iran, but that it may also actively intercept shipments, quote. Today's news that the U.S. government is possibly looking to start a fight with Iran in October is an appropriate way to introduce today's I want to thank Student Minister Abel Mohammed for his great lecture last Sunday, showing us that the black, the brown, and the red are one people representative of the original and aboriginal people of our planet, and that the message to the black man from the Honorable Elijah Muhammad is inclusive of the Native American, inclusive of all of the peoples whose blood was mixed by the European in Mexico, Central America, South America. So we all are a part and members of the original nation. Therefore, our struggle is one struggle. It is my
Okay, well, that's pure bullshit. You say more. That's pure bullshit what Ishmael just said. Message to the black man in America. Message is very specific about that. Those original people, but they have no part in the Abrahamic covenant. It's not, was message was not inclusive of them. If you study the lessons, you cannot come up with that conclusion whatsoever. For I did not come here to get anyone but us, period. Abrahamic covenant. They didn't come here to get anyone else. They may go out. They're not going out with the elect. They may go to tribulation. They may join on with you in the tribulation, but that's another story altogether. But they didn't come to get them. They're not inclusive of them. And anyway, lessons tell you how did the Mexicans and so-called Native Americans, or how they get it to begin with. Because they was the first enemies of Islam. It tells you that right in the lessons. See, that's why they were exiled here. See? It's just pure bullshit. Where they're trying to say, well, anybody was mixed with the blood. What they're trying to do is trying to cover Farrakhan because it follows the devil. They're trying to still push that one drop of blood makes you black lie. Well, it makes you black. It doesn't make you original. See, we become a garbage can. Anything that got any touch of blackness is in that same can. So anybody got any touch of blackness is part of us. That's bullshit. See, because that's what you do when you're trash. You throw everything in the trash can. So anything that's not white, Snow White, then it's trash. So you put it all together in one lump thing. That's what he do. And you buy that? No, it's the other way around. If you're not original, you go in a trash can. See, everything reverse and you going for it. So anybody pop up, man, look, see? Because the guy, My devil, my father's is devil, my grandfather's devil, but me and my mother was white, so I'm one of you, brother. No, you not. See, that's why anybody talking about the demons. Half man, half devil. Demon, half devil, half man. Okay. And the other thing, did you pay attention to that? I need to play it again. See? This thing about Iran is heating up. He's told you that. I'll play it one more time, then we move on to the presentation. I'll move right there into the presentation. So make sure you get it.
This is true news. I'm Rick Wiles. President Donald Trump plans to issue an executive order allowing him to impose U.S. sanctions on anyone who violates a conventional arms embargo against Iran, according to 4 anonymous sources familiar with the matter. The unnamed sources told Reuters the executive order was expected to be issued in the coming days and would allow the president to punish violators with secondary sanctions, depriving them of access to the U.S. markets. The White House did not immediately respond to a request for comment. The United Nations arms embargo on Iran will expire 2 weeks before the U.S. presidential election under the 2015 nuclear deal that Iran struck with 6 major powers: Britain, China, France, Germany, Russia, and the United States. The UN conventional arms embargo is set to expire on October 18. News that the Trump administration is ramping up plans to punish nations that trade with Iran comes at the same time Israeli newspapers are speculating whether President Trump is wanting to start a war with Iran before the November 3rd election. For example, the Jerusalem Post asked the question, is Trump looking for a pre-election fight with Iran? The Jerusalem Post article says, quote, the U.S. will attempt to start playing a fascinating high-stakes game this weekend, only 6 weeks from Election Day. Starting on Saturday, the U.S. appears to not only be saying it will economically penalize countries worldwide who have any arms dealings with Iran, but that it may also actively intercept shipments, quote. Today's news that the U.S. government is possibly looking to start a fight with Iran in October is an appropriate way to introduce today's
Okay, brothers and sisters, let's get into the presentation. But you see that, pay attention to that. They're saying that they plan on going to war with Iran for the next few weeks. We'll tell you about these things. We're right on time, brothers and sisters. Timing, everything is perfect. You're not getting this from any place else. Okay, so let's move into the presentation. Okay, the statue. In the book of, in the Injil, you have the Injil key. Those who are familiar with those presentations know what I'm talking about. And then you have a main key also. You have other keys, we have a main key. And that key is this statue. So we're going to talk about it and break it down. I'm going to bounce around a little bit here because it's going to be a different kind of presentation. Because I'm going to hit highlights, try to point out a few things. So bear with me. But we're going to talk about the statue. This here is now what you need to do if you're studying this, because I'm putting it in such a way where you can study it, you need to go back over this again, so I'm going to go slowly. But here is the description of the statue here. And notice it's iron, it's bronze, it's clay, it's silver, it's gold, right? Now, when you read the description, one thing that you may notice or may not notice, I've seen no one up to now has seems to notice that this image is anatomically correct in every way except for one thing. It has no hands. It has feet, legs, arms, head, breast, thighs, but no hands. That's very, and you have to pay. That's very important, right? See, because let's see what it says here. See where it says 34. You watch why stone was cut out without hands. See, somebody saw this great image. So they watched while the stone was cut out without hands, which struck. So they read that. The way they read that is that okay? Well, it wasn't. How can you cut something out without hands? What do you use? So then they asked something. They said, well, without human hands. You don't say anything about human in there. So that means God did it, since it was human hands. It doesn't say it. It says without hands. So you can read it as somehow it did it without hands, I guess telepathy or some kind of tele whatever. Or you can read it as the image that didn't have any hands, because that's the one striking point. That image didn't have any hands. So a stone was cut out of an image that didn't have hands. You have to, when you read all of Daniel, you'll get it, because what happens is that the gold represents the original nation. It was cut down, and then, but the remaining part of it is that stone that was survived and it destroyed all the rest of the nations. It's talking about. So without hands, that's very important. It's right here. Okay. Now here's the statue. Okay. Gold, silver, bronze, iron, and then 10 toes, which is iron mixed with clay. Now, this iron mixed with clay, they try to make things like in a blender. No, you have 2 iron toes, the 2 big toes are iron toes, and the rest are clay. Okay? So you say, why these 4 metals and why in this sequence? Because the gold represents the original nation. But bronze or brass can be a fool's gold. You shine up everything, it's a similar gold. You can fool somebody, make them think it's gold, right? Well, that's somebody pretending to be us. That's the Jews. They pretend to be us. See, it's fake, okay? And the silver and iron. Well, you have this thing called silverware, right? Well, you know it's not silver. So it's something that's pretending to be the silver. Silver represents the African nations. So we have, and not so distant history, right, where the Europeans was claiming that Carthaginians, and the Egyptians, all that kind of stuff, Caucasian people, that they weren't. They was trying to take Hannibal and all of them. They was trying to take credit for what these black people did. So that's what that's all about. See, so that's very subtle. That's why you had those 4 metals in that particular order. And then you have the legs, the iron, was 2 parts. Well, that's the old Roman Empire broken into 2 parts. Europe broken into Eastern Europe and Western Europe. We're going to see that in a minute, right? And then at the bottom 2, right? That's the last, the bottom toes represents the last configuration, right? Nations before the end, right? Because it says during the time of those kings, that's when the Most High will build a separate nation that will live forever. So this is the configuration you have right now. So that's Gog and Magog. That's the 2 toes. That's America and Britain. And the rest of the toes represents China, India. We see it in a minute. Okay. Okay, so I'm bouncing around here a little bit. So I put some color on it. Had original nation on top, African nation under it, false Israel, Eastern Europe, Western Europe, right? And then the toes down here. Let's talk about these toes. Those 10 toes, right? Okay, let's look at this. You had a leopard. Now, leopard is yellow with brown spots. Has 4 wings and 4 heads. Why 4 wings and 4 heads? Okay, together that's 8, right? Okay, heads represent authoritarian. Wings represents democracy. Okay, and all together that's 8. 4 heads and 4 wings. Okay, that represents, if those familiar with the angel, right, represents the Oriental, yellow, and the Asians, right, India, brown spots, right? And why 4 heads? And why 4 wings? Because they're the most populous, those two are the most populous nations on the planet, right? China and India, right? And one's authoritarian and one's democracy. There's no coincidence, that's the way it is. That's what it's telling you there. And that's 8 altogether, right? Let's look at this other one. Now you got this eagle. It has 2 wings. That means it's democracy also. Well, it's 2. 8 plus 2 is 10. Remember I said the 2 big toes represents Gog and Magog of the European countries, right? Because they're iron toes, and that represents America and Britain. And they're both democracies. See? Angel is very powerful. And Daniel is supplement to the angel. Both of them are sealed books. But Daniel only has 12 chapters. The 13th chapter of Daniel is the 13th chapter of the angel. Is that a coincidence? Because you find these symbols in the 13th chapter of the angel, you will find no place else. That's where they converge, that's where they intersect. So Daniel, you need Daniel to understand some of the things that's an angel. Right? So they're talking about the iron, you find out who the iron is when they say he had a rod of iron. Okay, because iron represents European countries. That's the Shia, because they're the Muslim part of the European countries. I'll talk about that in another presentation. So that's the 10 toes. So that's what you see right here. See. Here's the 4 heads. Here's the 4 wings. Here's America and Britain, Gog and Magog. Okay? So there are your toes. There's this right here. Okay, what else we're going to talk about here? Let's get this out the way about this temple. Okay. There was, I'm not going to go into all the detail here because it's very complicated. And I've written a whole book about it 30 years ago. And so I'll show you in a minute. I wrote this book 30 years ago, and I'm explaining all this here. I'll just talk about a couple of things about this tekel, right? And some other time, if we have time, I doubt it, I'll go into more detail, but I do have a book. What this tekel is all about is that Belshazzar represents the African nation. He's the king that came after Nebuchadnezzar. And you have 2 Nebuchadnezzars in there, right? Because remember, one is the real one and one's the fake one, because Nebuchadnezzar represents the original nation, but you got the Jewish that's pretending to be original. So you have 2 Nebuchadnezzars. It's very so you have to pay attention, close attention to that. But Belshazzar, right? For just get to the point here, he represents Obama. That's something you're gonna have trouble with right now, but you're gonna see it in the near future. And you got Belteshazzar. That was Daniel's name. Daniel is Suleiman. The only difference between their names is that Belteshazzar has a T-E, but Belshazzar has not. And that's what it means by you were weighed in the balance and art found wanting. That means you weighed the 2 together, but Belshazzar, he's wanting because he's missing the T-E. That's where the tekel comes from, because he has a T-E, but he has an E-L, both, but he doesn't have the T-E. That's where the tekel comes from. See? And that gets much deeper stuff. I'm not going to it right here. I'm just trying to give you a taste for that, right? Okay, so Then you go here, and it's giving the whole thing, the whole puzzle. There's a lot to unwrap in this puzzle. Now, what the Chaldeans represents Caucasian. That's the biblical way of saying Caucasian. Chaldeans. See, the night was Belshazzar, the king of the Chaldeans, slain. So Belshazzar represents Obama. He was the king of the Chaldeans, right? Because remember, he's an African. Belshazzar is an African. He's the one that came out of Nebuchadnezzar, if you understand the puzzle. You understand the puzzle? Belshazzar says he came after Nebuchadnezzar. That means he's an African king. But the Chaldeans, you understand, they're Caucasian. So what African king had control of a Caucasian nation? Obama did. He's the only one. See? And then Darius the Median, Darius is flawed. But he said, what happened? He said, they didn't, the night Belshazzar, the king, Chaldean was slain. No, there's no, see, that gets, I shouldn't have gotten into this. So let me sit back out before I sit back out gracefully here. Yeah, oh, I don't know how to do this without getting into a lot of detail here. You got the story of Joseph, right? Joseph and the story of Belshazzar is the same story. At the end, both of them gets at the end, Joseph and Daniel gets a necklace of gold. So it's the same story, it's just two different situations. Because in this case, you had a situation, if you read Jonah, right? Nebuchadnezzar, great city, right? They would be, it was conditional whether they would be destroyed or not. And that's the whole reason why Suleiman or Jonah end up in Guam for 3 years, right? Because he didn't want to prophesize. And so what happened? If they repent, they would be spared for a while. If they didn't, they wouldn't. So Obama came on the scene, and what did he do? That's why the Republicans hate him so much, because he went on his Repology tour. If he hadn't done that, right, then that country America would have been destroyed at that point. See, but if he did listen, right, he would be extended for a while until the next king. Read Joseph. It says that he listened, and so he did. So he was spared until the next king came along. Remember, the next king came after that king. The next pharaoh that came after that one, he was the one that brought the plagues on Egypt. That's Trump. It's right there. But it's a little complicated yet, but it's pretty, it's not that, well, once I explain it to you, you understand it. So there, Darius is Farad. See, so he would have took the kingdom then, while Obama was president, but Obama was apology to us, so that was repentance. That's what they hated him for it. So it wasn't killed, destroyed then. It would have been if he hadn't won an apology to it, because that goes back to Joseph, because he did what Suleiman told him to do, or Joseph told him to do. So therefore, it was spared until the next king. Read it. It said the next king, he was the one that didn't pay attention. He didn't know Joseph. He the one that brought the plagues on Egypt. That's Trump. See, it's all there. So it's a conditional thing. See, so let's talk about Darius for a minute. Okay. I'm going to just touch on this. Now, Darius is the one that takes down Babylon. That means that's fraud, right? Okay. Now, when you study Darius, who is Darius? Okay, Darius had a father named Ahasuerus. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right. And a mother named Esther. Read the book of Esther. Esther was a Jew. She was Caucasian. However, his father was original. He was a powerful king that controlled Asia, Ethiopia, and India. Right? That's how powerful he was. Original man, right? But his mother's a Jew, right? There you go. That's fraud, right? And he's called Darius the Mede because the Mede here represents the Jews. The Persians represent America. And they say, well, Persia, no, because remember, it's a sealed book, so why would you think that the name they use the actual name? Persia represents America, right? The Medes represent the Jews. We'll see that in a minute, right? Okay, so that's why I call Darius the Mede, because according to Jewish law, fraud would be a Jew, according to Jewish law, because they say you are what your mother is. They took and flipped the biblical sequence, reproductive sequence on his head. So therefore, since Moses is a Jew, he's called Darius the Mede. I'm not going to say too much more about that. Okay, so where let's go here. I shouldn't say that. Well, I should say this. You know, in there you have a situation where you have a conflict between, seemingly conflict between Daniel, right, and Darius. Darius is fraud, where Daniel refused to worship him. And they set up a trap to get him to destroy him. But Darius really didn't have a problem with it, but everybody else did. They set up a trap for him and throw him into the lion's den. That's their thing. I shouldn't go into all of that, right? See, because there's some powerful wisdom in there, but I'm not going to go into it. I'm just leave it there. Okay. Where are we headed? Okay, let's talk about these four beasts. The mystery beasts. Okay, he said, I saw in the night vision, behold, four winds of heaven were stirred. Four winds, right? This tells you it's happening now or about to happen. Because remember, the four winds have not blown yet. See, you got to put those all things together. So it gives you a time frame. And we're stirring a great sea, and four beasts came out of the sea, each different from the other. The first, like a lion, had eagle's wings. I watched it, wings were plucked off, and it was lifted up to earth and made to stand on 2 feet like a man. Man's heart was given to it, right? Okay, that lion represents the original nation here, right? And let's go to it. And before I go to it, it says, lift up the earth and made to stand on 2 feet. And a man's heart, depends on translation, or a man's mind was given to it. This gets back to the demon-possessed man again. Remember, his mind had to be given back to him, right? Because he lost his mind. See? Okay. But here's the 2 wings. See? Remember I said the 2 wings represent American Britain? They're riding our backs. They enslaved us. The first, like a lion, had eagle's wings. I watched the leaves were plucked. That means they're about to be plucked off. Remember the 4 winds? That happens when 4 winds blow. They're about to be plucked off. Give you a time frame there. And lift up from the earth. That means it's, what do you mean lift up from the earth? Remember, the earth represents the European countries. We're getting the hell out of here. And made to stand on 2 feet like a man. And man's heart was given to his mind, was given back to him. But he's getting out of here. See, the demons want to stay here. So he's getting out of here. First, you get American Britain off our back. They the ones that enslaved us. That's the first one. Okay, the second one's like a bear. It was raised up on one side, had 3 ribs in his mouth between his teeth. It said, to arise and devour much flesh. Remember, it's the same time. This is war. So he's going to go to war. This bear is going to go to war. He's going to go to war. He said he had 3 ribs in his mouth. Pay attention to those 3 ribs, because you understand that in a minute. He had 3 ribs in his mouth. And so he's devouring. He's getting ready to get rid of these 3 ribs. Where he's going to devour them. Okay. And then we get back to the leopard again. And I looked, and there was another, like a leopard, which had on its back 4 wings of a bird, and the beast also had 4 heads, and dominion was given to it. Okay? So that's the China and India. Dominion was given to it. That means it's about to take control. See? That gets back to the beast. They had 7 heads and 10 horns, but the crowns on his horns. That means power shifted from the dragon to the beast. So he's got dominion now. That's what's about to happen. And then I saw in the night vision, behold, a 4th beast, dreadful and terrible, exceedingly strong head. Iron teeth, was devouring, breaking pieces, trampling resin with his feet. It was different from all the beasts before it, and it had 10 horns. See, this is very tricky, because this 4th beast is a composite beast. It represents all those beasts together except for the lion. That's this 4th one, because it says it's different. What do you mean different than other beasts? Who is different? The bear, right? This one is a cat with wings. Cat with wings. This one neither has cat nor wings. See? That's what, you gotta be very careful. I tell you, very subtle. That's the one they're talking about, that bear. Okay? Now here it is again. Now, I wish to know the truth about the 4th beast. Now see, this proves what I'm saying, which was different from all the others. Exceedingly dreadful, with a teeth of iron and his nails of brass. Remember? He got iron, that's the iron, that's the bronze. right? And broken to pieces and trampled the rest of his feet. And it had there's 10 horns that was on his head. Other horns came up, 4 and fell 3, and I spoke, and it was great as fells. Okay. And so there it is right there. You see? It's all right there. See? And then talk about this mouth. I'm not sure how much I'm going to get into that. So it's a composite beast. It's all that whole statue together, except for the lion. Because remember, the lion destroys it. See? So it's a composite beast. But the beast is controlled because it said what? It says, and 10 horns that were, and the other horn came up before it was 3 fell. Three. Okay, remember? The bear had 3 ribs in his mouth. 3 fell, the same 3. We'll see in a minute. Here it is. I was considering the horns, and there was another horn, little one, coming up among them, before whom 3 of the first horns were plucked out by the roots. And there in this horn were eyes like, okay, this horn, remember there was 3 horns, right? And this other horn plucked up the other 3. See? This one little horn came up, and I said, that's the bear. He plucked up he got rid of the other 3. So he consumed and destroyed them. Right? Okay, who's the 3? There's the 3 horns right there. See? The ram had 2 horns. That's America. That's Gog and Magog, American Britain. The biggest horn came up last. That's America. Both of them empires. There's only been 2 world empires in Caucasian history. It's been Britain and America. And America came up last, but it's the biggest. Right? And then you got the goat with 1 horn. Those are the 3 horns. So now we know who the ram represents. That's American Britain. And the ram itself represents false Israel. But who's the goat represent? Okay? Can you guess? Right? Remember, you got to put all the pieces together, similar to the angel. So the other one must represent the other 10, the other 8 parts of the toes. But those are 2 right there. Must be the other 8. That means that one must represent the leopard with 4 heads and 4 wings. You say, well, how is that? Because what happens at the end, right? The horn is broken up into 4 parts and spread towards the 4 winds of heaven. That's 8. 4 parts to the 4 winds of heaven. I told you, very subtle, brothers and sisters. That's the leopard. So the leopard represents China, India. They're going after the ram, right? Now what happens? It says that, let me see if I say it shows here. No, it doesn't. It says that the goat, maybe it doesn't. Take a good look, another look here. No, that should be here somewhere. Anyway, it says that the goat was moving eastward. That means it was coming from the west. And feet did not touch water. That means it comes across the Pacific Ocean. And it was angry with the ram. It was exceedingly angry with the ram. And it hit the ram with so much kinetic force it knocked the ram down. And it broke his horns. It breaks America and Britain. But it tramples the ram down into dust. It destroys Israel altogether, falls Israel altogether. That's the story right there. See, because first the ram was powerful. But then it wins as goat, which is America's China, India. Same thing telling you in India. China, India is going to war. And you see Trump still concerned flames right now because they tried to pin this virus on China. You can see doing that. They said they did it on purpose. That's World War III because it's biological warfare. And they got all Europe stirring all Europe against it. It said it would stir up all of Europe against China and India. That's what's going to happen. See, very soon, once the war starts. Once the war starts in the Middle East, and America and Europe, America falls Israel, and Britain is kicked out of there, right? And EU Western Europe is economy totally collapses. Then America goes to war in Europe, and then it's trying to hold all this power together, right? So now it's going to try to stop China from taking Taiwan, trying to stop India from taking Pakistan, so forth, so on. And so therefore there'll be a war with the whole world. And then that means China's already getting angry and angry at America every day. China and India is going to unite, and they're going to invade America. But it's saying his feet came, but it didn't touch land. That means come across the ocean. Okay. If that's what it said, he had 3 ribs as mouth. That means he takes down these 3 horns. So the bear says, okay, the bear says he's going to take down these 3 horns. What does that mean? Because it says the bear, right? That's the African country. It tells you in chapter 17, he's going to be Obama, right? Because you're going to have Africa's going to unite too, but it's going to unite into 2 groups. It's going to be an Islamic group, and it's going to be Christian or a non-Islamic federation. There are 2 federations, the Islamic Federation and non-Islamic Federation, right? Obama's going to lead the non-Islamic Federation, and they're going to be when China and India invade, right? Obama and non-Islamic Confederation will be with them. He already got a bone to pick with Trump anyway. That gives you a hint that Trump is going to be reelected. See, there's other thing there because Trump will be reelected. Okay, so that's the story. But it says after that war is over, it says Obama is going to take and go to war. They're going to get to war with each other. And Obama and the African Federation is going to go to war with China and India. And it's going to defeat them. That's why it says it's going to pluck 3 up by the roots. He's going to defeat them. See, he's already defeated the ram. Now he's going to defeat the goat. Because you got to understand, there's a big controversy in the Bible that most people probably don't know anything about. That's the one between Michael and Lucifer. Both of them are archangels. See, almost on the same level. But Lucifer was jealous of Michael because Michael was ahead of him. So he wanted to be the one. He wanted to be the top angel. You see? And so they go to war with each other. See, that's now, when you read this, it says, once we return and we dwell in peace with no borders or anything around us, right? It says that's when these nations will come against us, and that's going to be the final war. It says their skins will melt on their frames. And it says it takes 6 months to bury. What do you think you're talking about there? That's the war between us and Obama. He's going to bring his African Federation along with all those he's conquered, Indians and Chinese. They're all coming against us. That's going to be the final. That's going to be the final battle. So understand it, brothers and sisters. I don't like to really go into something because it's down the road, but I want to talk about Daniel so you have some understanding when you read it. But you need to study it. And I'm just trying to give you some highlights here. See? So here's the bear. There he is right there. Okay. African Federation. Here's the bear. Obama with China, India. They're roaming America. Right? It's in flames. Okay. He said, well, I thought he's going to take down America, but he's going to use them to do it. If you read chapter 17 of Angel, what does it say? It says that these 10 kings, China and India, right, they will hate the harlot America, right? And they will make her desolate. That means they're going to defeat her, right? Eat her flesh, take all, make her desolate. Eat her flesh, and what was the other thing? Make her naked. So that means they're going to take everything of wealth from the country, right? And then they're going to take and eat her flesh. That means all their healthy young people they're going to take into slavery. Those who lead into slavery shall be taken into slavery. That means what happened to them will happen to us. They're going into slavery. They're going to take them into slavery. Then they're going to burn the place down. And says, well, he says, well, how are they going to do it? He says, because God put in mind to do it. He's the one that directed them to do it. He put in mind to do it. So Friday, he's doing it because he's making them do it. That's what I said. They're doing it because he's making them do it. Read chapter 17. So how are you going to make them do it? Okay, one of the things that you need to understand is that America, I mean, Western Europe, China, and India, all three are totally dependent upon the oil in the Middle East, upon the Middle East resources. But what happens now? After the war, who controls that? The Shia control it. Farah controls it 100%. Saudi Arabia, all of Mecca, Medina, all of it. Jerusalem controls all of it. And false is, East Western Europe was helping America in that war. So now they cut the spigot off. So now their country, that's what it says, chapter 18, their economy collapsed overnight. And so you tell China and India, hey, if you want to continue, because their economy is totally dependent upon the oil. If they don't have no reserve, they cut off, the economies collapse overnight. Hey, you want to say anything happen to you? No. Then you go and attack America. America's already at war. They're already vulnerable. So that's what you got to do. So, hey, think about that one. Here it is right here. I was observing, a male goat was coming from the west, remember? Over the surface of the whole earth without touching the ground. See, it didn't, right, it was coming across the ocean. The goat had conspicuous horn between his eyes. He came up, you have to understand what eyes are. His eyes is Farah, but I'm not going to go into that right now. And he came up to the ram, because remember, he's the one, the eyes is guiding him there. He came to the ram that had two horns, right? Which I had seen stand in front of the canal and rushed him in his mighty wrath. And he was riding, he's raining at the ram in his mighty wrath. I saw him come beside the ram. He was enraged at him. He was enraged at the. See, China's getting more and more enraged because the conflict between America and China is becoming greater and greater. He's enraged at him. He struck into the ram and shattered his two horns. He hit him with such kinetic force. And he shattered his two horns. He broke his horns. Right? He broke America and Britain. And the ram had no strength to withstand him. So hurled him to the ground and trampled on him. That means the ram itself. Man, he broke the horn, but now that's false this word. He trampled him. There was none to rescue the ram from his power. See, and then that male goat magnified himself, see, but as soon as he was mighty, the large horn was broken. See, in his place there came a four conspicuous horns toward the four winds of heaven. Remember I told you, 4 plus 4 is 8. So that horn represents the 8. See, very subtle stuff. I think we pretty much called it a day on that one. Oh, let me talk about the tree. Okay. Here's this tree. I beheld a tree in the midst of the earth, and the height there was great. The tree grew and was strong, and the height there was reaching to heaven, and the sight thereof of it to all the earth. The leaves thereof was fair, and the fruit thereof much, and it was fruit for all. The beasts of the field had shadow under it, and the birds of heaven dwelt in the branches thereof, and all flesh was fed from it. That means this tree covered the whole world, or earth, a whole planet. And I saw the vision my head upon my head, behold, a watcher, and the Holy One came down from heaven. He cried aloud and said, hew down the tree and cut off the branches, shake off the leaves, and scatter its fruit. Let the beasts get away from under it, and the fowl from the branches. Nevertheless, leave the stump of its root in the earth, even the brand of iron and brass, and the tender grass of the field, and let it be wet with dew of heaven. Let its portion be with the beasts and the grass of the earth. Let his heart be changed from man's heart. Let the beast's heart be given to it. Let 7 times pass over it. See, now this is at the end. Now he said, and he says the lowest of men over it. This is very deep stuff here. I'm going to talk about a little bit. But who is this watcher that cuts it down? Okay, that's the same one that hand that wrote the thing about the tekel and everything. He's the hand, but remember the statue has no hands. This is the Shia. You need to study. It's the Shia talking here. It's the Shia that cut us down. We're the tree. We're the original nation. We're the tree. They cut us down. Like I said, Europeans could not have gotten to Africa unless it got through them. They the ones did. They betrayed us. They cut us down. But they left a stump. See, we the stump. right? But look what it says. No, they want, he wants to destroy these people, want to destroy us, right? He says, see, lives a beef life, right? Take his heart or his mind from him, right? Give him a beast mind. See, this is a Shia. I mean, this is Sunni here talking. They're the ones that broke us down because they wanted to get rid of us. And he said, let the laws of men be over them. That means that's Yaku's crafted creation. That's exactly what happened to us. And it was the Sunni that did it. They're the ones that made it happen. That's when I said Daniel talks a lot of stuff. It makes a lot of stuff clear. It's the Sunni that did this. It's our Arab brothers, Ishmael, that did this to us. See, they cut us down. See, so, oh, and what it says there'll be a band of iron and brass. That means we've been enslaved by iron and brass. Who is the iron? Who's the brass? Remember, the brass is the Jews, the iron is Caucasians. That's what happened. So they try to say they had nothing to do with it. It tells you right there. It was the Jews and not just the white folks, Caucasians. It was Jews too. Both of them enslaved us. They try to wash hands. Oh, it wasn't us. No. Daniel reveals it was them because they actually the ones that controlled the ships. They were the merchants. They was the one that owned all the ships. The sea captains were Caucasian, but it was the owners of the ships were the Jews. See, you gotta, they can talk all the bullshit they want to. See, we got the truth. So, anything else here? Oh, the mouth. Okay, I'm not gonna go too much about this mouth because I've talked about that enough in the angel. But I'm gonna just point this out to you because the mouth, see, this bear had a mouth in this case, right? So what does that mean? See, I'm not going into details here because it's a little complicated. I'm just gonna play this and let you decide.
Going to use to bring about universal change. And that is why Barack is captain with you. And he has involved young people in a political process that they didn't care anything about. That's a sign. When the Messiah speaks, the youth will hear.
Okay, we're gonna leave it at that, brothers and sisters. That last part, right? He's worshiping Obama, called him Messiah. That should tell you a lot right there. But I'm not going to more. I've talked a lot about him, right? We're dealing with him. This is last year of his 42-year reign. See, that takes you right into 2000 anyway. That remember all the numbers I gave you? 1977 to 2019. That's 42 years. That means that was this. So he's over. He will not get past this year. See, he's about to be dethroned, as it says in Ancient of Days. See, his thrones are cast down. He's going to be taken down from within. Redeemed as this man. I'm not going to go into that detail tonight. So, brothers and sisters, I think I've covered everything I need to cover. There's a lot more, but uh, I had done this video earlier. They did something to cancel the voice, so they're doing everything, brothers and sisters. They've tried to kill me. I can show you the photos on that one. They contrived, I tell you, when I tell you details, you'll understand it. See, they said, remember the car accident? If you look at the car, it looks like a pancake, literally. And nobody looks at it and says, man, you was in that car? They can't believe I survived it. You can't fight the mathematics. Mathematics play favor now. That's what me allows mathematics. No spirit of spooks involved. It's all mathematics. See? And we are the masters of mathematics. That's why I call them scientists. We're the masters of mathematics. Everything is mathematics. Nothing's outside the realm of mathematics. We have the power to understand and to control, to manipulate mathematics. We can't change mathematics. We can't go outside of mathematics. So everything is under the will of Allah. That's what it means. Everything is under mathematics. You can't get outside. Can't get outside. It's impossible. Okay, brothers and sisters. Let me look at one more thing here. No, I don't have that. Okay. Oh, let me show you this one thing real quick. I said I would show you this. This right here. This book was written 30 years ago, 1990, late 1990, when I broke the seals. I broke seals in Al-Injil. Then went after Daniel. Broke seal there at the same time. I wrote this book, right? Tekel. It breaks down Daniel. Got a lot more detail than I gave you tonight. Breaks down that puzzle and everything. 30 years ago. And one of the things is, if you notice the top right there, it says, struggle of the black nations. See what I was talking about there, and I explained in the book. Let's see. If I can find it real quick. Well, okay, well, I can't find it right quick, so. Anyway, what I'm talking about here is that final war. Like I said, the final war between us and the African nation under Obama. If I can find that here right quick. Thirty years ago, I wrote it. Well, I won't see it. Okay, enough of that. Anyway, that's down the road. Right now, we're demon war. And the demons are about to be vanquished. They're already on the run. They don't come at you in any scriptures. All it comes just personal attacks and BS. They have no scriptures to support any of that BS they're talking about. See, we have scriptures, and we don't distort and contort. We just tell you where it is. We'll show you where it is. And we don't even try to, I mean, if you want an explanation, we'll give you an explanation, but we'll just give you information so you can figure it out for yourself. So I just gave you the key to Daniel, right? So you can look at it yourself. And you can go in deeper into it. If you study, you can go deeper into it, much deeper than I just gave you. But you have to study. Because if I just tell you, it's not benefiting you. If I can come and do if I go take you to the gym, I lift the weights, show you how to lift the weights, right? And I'm doing lifting, showing you, that's not helping you. That's giving you knowledge, but if you don't lift the weight yourself, it's not benefiting you at all. All you have is knowledge. Just like Farad, right? Farad, they said, Elijah Muhammad said, see, they don't pay attention. The marketing would be self-taught. or Jesus. I forgot which one he said, but this God that were raised up in the West, he'd be self-taught. Remember, there's two of them. There's the one in the East and the one in the West. They're working together. The Mahdi and Jesus. Even as soon as he recognized that. But he said be self-taught. Now, how the hell could that be fraud? When he tells you that he wasn't self-taught, his father taught him. He got all these books and taught him. So how the hell was he self-taught? Elijah Muhammad wasn't self-taught. Farah taught him. So who was self-taught? See, you don't put this stuff together. It's easy stuff right past you. He says he will be self-taught. I'm self-taught. I have no letters behind my name. They didn't teach me. I didn't even get past the first year of high school. I was out the first semester. I was self-taught because I figured back there. I said, look, where's the teacher teaching me from? They teach me from a book. I said, hell, I can read. So I got my ass out there and went to the library and started studying. I said, I can learn what I want to learn. I need them to tell me what I did learn. I can learn whatever I want to learn. I don't need them to guide me and brainwash me. And I've been studying ever since. I'm self-taught. Nobody can take credit for my knowledge. Nobody can take credit for this. I can go to Bible, what do you call them? Monastery, what do you call those names? Monastery school, what do you call them? Seminaries. I don't have no license from the devils for being a reverend or preacher. I ain't studied the Bible under them. I'm a mathematician. I know physics. I know calculus. I know vectors, tensors. I studied on my own. I had to get the learn in school. The only subject I haven't studied is music. I have a basic idea of it. Mathematics, I haven't studied it. I understand the basics. I understand the fundamental of it. There's pressure. It's pressure waves. I understand it from that point of view. But when you get into the details about notes and stuff like that, no, I haven't gotten to the weeds on that one. No, I'm going to get around to it. Right now, I haven't had too much time to study anything because I'm spending all this time getting this information to you and brothers and sisters. That takes a lot of my time trying to get information to you. Studying. Well, I'm studying to the center how to put this information together for you. That's the kind of study I'm doing. See, how to put this together for you. That takes a lot of my time. It's like on this one, I spent yesterday 2 hours putting this video together. This is the second time I'm doing this one. Because after I finished, the sound was gone. They got rid of my sound. I was kind of a little pissed off on that one. I said, man, but 2 hours, and now I got to check to see, because I'm not doing Facebook Live anymore, so it's hard for me to double check on this one. So I have to kind of like go and let the whole thing play and then go back and check, because I don't do it live anymore. See, I do it live, I do it private, and then I pass it on, and then I turn it public to check it. See, but right now I don't have a way because they messed up all my channels and everything. See, and it's more difficult because I don't want to do this with Facebook anymore because I'm tired of coming to block it and cancel all this kind of crap, right? So hell with them. So I kind of like I play it, wing it. After I get finished, double check it to make sure it's okay before I turn it public. I did yesterday and then it was no sound. I think I have sound now. So it's a lot of opposition, but so don't worry about it. Because the time is in your favor. We're moving on in time. They're time anchors. They're trying to hold time back. Good luck with that one. See, we're moving on in time. See? And they're lost in time. So that's why time anchors try to hold back time. They're trying to hold you back. Sunnism, all this stuff. And one last thing I want to mention. What was the climate when Moses came back? The way they characterize it as Moses returned. In other words, we're trying to tell you the 40-some years that Moses was gone. No, after he left, Aaron had control about 40-some years. That's Farrakhan. He's the one that came after Moses, Elijah, right? Who was the atmosphere at? Okay, so he turned. He said one of the first things happened was the torch was passed, the anointment was passed over to Joshua. He became in charge. He took power. See how power was transferred to him. Secondly, all of Farrakhan's, Aaron's followers, separated from Elijah's followers. Remember, there's that contention in the demon-possessed man. One wants to stay, one wants to go. One wanted to work with Jesus. They saw him coming. They ran to him. They was enthusiastic. But the other one put a kibosh. Hey, you can't be doing that. See, so that's the story. So they separated two, and then they had Elijah's people slaughtered all of Aaron's people, including Aaron. If we read further, not Exodus, but the one that followed after Elijah, right? Elijah, right, curses them with disembowelment. It's in there with disembowelment. They use different name, but you got all the stuff is coded. But he's the one that followed after him. He got cursed with disembowelment. Isn't that what happened to Farrakhan? Okay, so you got the power was given to Joshua or Jesus, the one that broke the seals. All of the demons, Farrakhan's followers, including him, were slaughtered by Elijah's followers, right? And then the golden calf, I'm just going to little about this. When you watch the angel, I told you each one has 6 wings. The top wings of each nation represents the Islamic part. So if you go to the one that was like a calf, the top part would be golden, right? Because the top part, the golden represents the Islamic part. That would be the golden calf. That means Sunni Islam is the golden calf. It's the golden part of the calf. So what did happen? They took the golden calf and broke it up and ground into dust, right? And made survivors of the nation of Islam drink it as a punishment. That means, because remember, they're in the water. Water is part of tribulation. So that means the nation of Islam, right, that survived, that's the man that was demon-possessed, that was left behind. He's got to go through tribulation. So that's what happened. That's why he says, so hard in the Sunni. I already told you about Sunnis. There's Ishmael, they betrayed us, right? They cut us down, they were responsible, right? They threw us into the pit to be enslaved in Egypt. They're the golden calf, trying to deceive us. But that's what they're over here trying to do. And Farrakhan's going along with them. See, he's part of it. He has worship the golden calf, Sunnism. See? And it says they're coming against hard. And they're really coming really hard in a few more days once this war starts. And everybody recognize that who we are, who we really are. These students come as hard. Because remember, at that point, they're going to be kicked out of the Middle East. Kicked out of it. Because Fuad says, I'm going to prepare for you. That's what the whole war is about. To get them out of here for us to return home. Get Ishmael and all them out of there. When they recognize that, they're going to come and get you here. And the House of Saud, they're going to escape back to India. With all that money, fatwas, because they give it us, they can return home. You understand, brothers and sisters? They're coming at you full blast, full tilt. They ain't playing. Not only them, everybody's coming. All these messages you think your friend, they're coming. Everybody's coming after you. That's what I call the tribulation, the worst ever. You want to walk through that, fine. But the original people, the seed of Abraham, the elect, that gets their name in Lamb's Book of Life, they're going to hear the faintest sounds of the raging ruins of hell. But you're going to get a full tilt, full blast. Been warned, brothers and sisters. Assalamu alaikum.